If you haven't met me yet, yeah, I'm Jackson Felden. At the moment, I'm working here at New Horizons as the IT manager and one of the trainers. And yeah, there's my link as well on LinkedIn. If you want to connect later on LinkedIn, it will be nice. Just a bit of my background. I started my IT career in March 1991 with kind of MS-DOS, and worked quite a lot with Novell. And then back in 1996, and then officially I moved to Microsoft. And then, as you can see, I'm kind of been following the Microsoft main products on operating systems and kind of SharePoint and Exchange. And now the last couple of years, I'm kind of working hard enough on Office 365 and Azure. And yeah, the idea for today is basically on the next hour to share a bit of information on backup. And the first part, just a quick overview on the backup solution you guys might be using at the moment on Microsoft. I am not going to talk about any third-party tool, try to focus on Microsoft. And then before starting talking about the backup agent and backup solutions, we need to do a quick review on the recovery service Vault. And then eventually we will talk about the agent and different kind of type of backups, basically from your local server, VMs or files or Exchange, let's say mailboxes or SQL Server database and stuff. We can back up them all to Azure. And if you guys are using Azure already, and then, yeah, of course, we can do basically make backups from virtual machines. For example, I could have some virtual machines here in Dublin and make a backup to Amsterdam. And if you are using the Azure file share, yeah, it's possible to have a backup from the file share as well. And of course, guys, if you want to take some notes, feel free. But at the end of my seminar, there is just a quick survey, and then we will send this presentation, Swellen, basically from our marketing team, will send this presentation to you. And then, whatever you are seeing from my presentation, you don't need to take any note because you will get an email later on. Okay, yeah, that's it, guys. Today I've been running a couple of seminars on Azure, and then today is backup. If you want to join me again, I'm back on September 20th to talk about Office 365, more kind of what are the features available for GDPR from Exchange and Office 365 and SharePoint as well. And yeah, it's going to be 1 hour. And then on September 21st, my colleague called David will run a quick session on PowerShell. Then these days, pretty much any sysadmin, anybody working with Microsoft really need to know PowerShell. Then it's going to be a good introduction as well, 1 hour on 21st. And then I'm back on October 5th for Azure AD. And then October 18 for just to provide some better understanding on how you guys can migrate to Azure. Basically, there are so many different ways you can migrate virtual machines. Basically, I will talk about VHDs and physical servers, HyperV VMs, and and VMware VMs as well. Yeah, hopefully you can connect back, at some stage. Okay, now officially starting, let's have a quick review. What are the Microsoft tools available at the moment if you're doing backups only on your Office? I'm not talking about Azure or at the moment. Okay, before kind of try to understand or try to organize any backup system, let's say yourselves, if you're in charge of the backup or the manager, need to have a good understanding about the RTO and the RPO. Basically, the RPO is, how long it's going to take if you need to restore, I don't know, a full backup from a virtual machine, or maybe a whole backup from an Exchange database or something like that. And then, yeah, that's the first thing that must be clear for everybody, especially the guys designing the backup solution. And the second thing is the RPO, the recovery point objective, is like, okay, how much data can we or will we lose if a system goes down? For example, of course, if you are doing a daily backup, the backup starts at, I don't know, 11 p.m. or let's say 2 a.m. is the time when the backup starts, and you get a full backup from the Exchange server. And then eventually on the next day, the server goes down. I don't know, the database is corrupted at 9 a.m. And then, yeah, because you have the backup, your last backup is from 2 a.m. It's going to be, that window. You will basically lose any email coming from there. Okay, and then guys, talking about the on-prem backup solution. There are 3 variations from Microsoft. Basically, the first one is the HyperV Replica or Replication. I'm not sure if you have done any configuration on that. I think I have 1 or 2 screenshots here. Yeah, there you go. Basically, if you have a Hyper-V running on Server 2012, R2, there are some kind of nice improvements. It's not too complicated to do the configuration. You just basically click on the virtual machine and then go for enable a replication. And then, yeah, of course, you need to set what is the destination server, and then you can set as well what's the time. You can start kind of doing the replication every 30 seconds. The seconds is the minimum, or you can set at 30 seconds, 5 minutes, and 15 minutes interval. And yeah, that's kind of easy enough for you to have a copy of some or all the virtual machines in a second server. Eventually, if one of your Hyper-V goes down, you can easily enough start the VM running from the second server with a kind of maybe 30 seconds delay only. Yeah, kind of very simple and very, very nice. The second one, kind of probably you guys are not using, especially if you need a complex backup solution, is the Windows Server Backup. Yeah, on Server 2012, it comes as a feature, and then it's just a matter for you to go and enable the feature. And then, as you can see in this quick screenshot, you can easily take backup from drives, kind of drive C, drive D, any local disk. You can do a backup from the system state. Okay, system state in this case means the whole configuration. If it's a domain controller, yeah, it comes all the Active Directory and sites, and it's pretty much the Windows folder and all the configuration. And the first option, the bare metal recovery, is a kind of full image. And then eventually, if your server gets corrupted, you can, yeah, kind of easy enough, you can restore the whole backup, the whole image, okay, from there. And it's a free solution, okay. The only thing it's not possible for you to do backup for a tape drive. And then, yeah, you can do from, let's say, get backup to a shared folder or to a kind of additional disk on your own system, but not to a tape drive. And then, guys, the enterprise Microsoft solution for backup is basically the Microsoft Data Protection Manager, or the DPM. And then, of course, that's much more powerful. And from there, you install a little agent in kind of different servers, and then from one of the servers, you can get a backup from VMs and database and Exchange server and SharePoint and so on. Of course, this solution is not free. You need to pay, but of course that's more professional, professional enterprise version. And as I said, I'm not going to talk about any third-party solution, but of course there are so many other tools available. Anyway, that was just a quick review on the local backups. Now finally it's time for us to talk how can you basically get your data, and instead to keep investing on tape drives and maybe additional hard disks or storage or new servers. The idea is to get your data. Data, I mean anything, could be a whole VM, could be a SQL Server database, Exchange database, or just some files and folders, and send them to Azure. The first thing you need to start is, of course, you need to have an Azure subscription, and then the first element that must be added, or must be created, is the Azure Site Recovery Vault. Okay, of course, if you go to Azure, there are hundreds of things you can create, but the Azure Site Recovery Vault is basically, if I could summarize, is the element that will hold all the data backup. If you are, backing up a HyperV VM, your local HyperV VM basically goes into that Azure Site Recovery Vault. And then from there, you manage all the recovery points as well. Recovery points means if you are looking to do a restore from, exactly the time and date you want to get the restore. And all the policies as well. For example, the backup policy. If you are looking, for example, to have some files and folder backed up every day 11 p.m., but and then you want to back up an Exchange database every day, I don't know, 4 a.m., then of course you will need at least 2 different policies to do the backup. And yeah, in 2 seconds I will run a quick demo, but yeah, there you go. The Azure Site Recovery Vault basically is the place, and the first thing you need to enable, you need to create on your subscription in order to start, doing your backup. The other thing you need to have a good understanding, and if you are, let's say, in charge of the backup, need to talk to your manager if you're not the manager to decide, let's say, the retention policy. Basically, as you can see in this picture, and then in a few seconds I will run a demo. When you are doing the backup, you can say, oh yeah, I want to do a daily backup and save up to 7 days. But on top of that, I want as well a weekly backup let's say every Saturday, and I want to save for 4 weeks, for example. And on top of that, I want to have a monthly backup, and it could be a yearly backup as well. And then, of course, everything will take space on Azure, and then you will pay for whatever the space you are using. But yeah, that's the point as well. You need to have a good design and a very good understanding. Eventually, if you need to restore a lost data, and then having a good understanding from the retention policy, you can eventually restore from last week, from last month, from last year, from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and so on. Later on, when I run a demo, when I will run a demo from the backup, and then basically the wizard will ask me regarding those retention policies. Okay, guys, just a second. Yeah, no, I can stop now. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, anyway, here there is a quick maths. Okay, if I'm taking, for example, 2 backups daily, and I'm getting a couple of backups weekly as well. Anyway, not going to read everything, as you will get this presentation later on. Yeah, as you can see, I will end up having 56 basically recovery points from backups. That gives a huge flexibility when I want to restore something. Okay, that's now let me run a quick just demo, especially if you are kind of new on Azure. Let me just quickly here share my window. Just 1 second. Okay, you should get it in 2 seconds, yeah. Okay, yeah, hopefully you got it. Yeah, this is my demo subscription. Okay, just is my own account, not using New Horizons when I'm running these seminars. And yeah, there you go. If here on the left, I click on Recovery Service Vault. Of course, I have so many because I'm doing so many tests and labs, and especially when I'm supporting my students here. But the one I'm going to use now is the last one. Okay, West Europe. Yeah, I've set that Recovery Vault on Amsterdam. Okay, yeah, there you go. And then, guys, the most important place, I wouldn't say the most important, but the kind of the starting point here is if you click here on Getting Started, Backups. Okay, And yeah, there you go. And then the first decision now is for me to decide from where I want to take my backups. And then as you can see, I have two options. The first one is I could select Azure. And now, from my resources on Azure, which one I want to get backup. And then at the moment, of course, these things, keep changing. When I started, it was possible to get backups only from virtual machines. And then eventually Microsoft now added, as you can see, is still on preview. And then Microsoft added the file share and the SQL Server databases as well. Now, yeah, there you go. If let's say my target now is virtual machines, and then when I click on backup, now I go to the basically next point, and then is the time where I need to start setting up my backup policy. Okay, for example, I want to get a backup every day, 3 a.m. or maybe twice a day or so on. And then here I can use one of the backups I already created. Or of course I can, create a new, backup. Okay, later on when the backups are already running, the second very important place to go is if you just scroll down a little bit, go under the protected items and then click on replicated items. No, sorry guys, under the backup items. Okay, yeah, as you can see, there are a couple of options. I will talk about them in 2 seconds. Azure Backup Agent, the Azure Virtual Machine Backups, the Azure Backup Server, the Azure Storage, and things like that. But yeah, there you go. This is the place for you to go and actually see what you have backed up already. And then if I go to the Azure Backup Agent, for example, if I click there, I will come back to this screen later on. And then, I've been doing a couple of kind of tests here. And then, yeah, I have a backup from my server called NH Azure DC1 and a couple of backups from my NH host 01 as well. And then from here is the place basically I could add a new backup. I could restore and so on. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, just to show the Azure Recovery Service Vault, that's the first element, okay, you need to create in order to start doing your backups. Now, just going a little bit forward, let me talk about the just a second, about the agents. Okay, just a second. Let me go back to my presentation. Okay. Then I will run a quick demo as well in few seconds. Okay, that's done. Okay. Okay, guys, basically there are 3 main agents. Okay, the first one is the Azure Backup Agent, and then we have the Azure Backup Server, and then finally we have the Azure Infrastructure as a Service VM Backup. And then basically, depending what is your backup target, or what you are about to backup, you need to download one of those agents. I think I have a better screenshot here. Okay, that's a good example. If you go under your backup replication vault, go to backup, and then eventually if you select 2 kind of simple enough types of backup, as you can see here on the presentation, I have here I have selected I want to do backup from my on-prem, to Azure, and I'm looking only at the moment to backup files and folders from my servers and system state. Okay, please remember, system state is the whole configuration, Active Directory, Federation Service, whatever you have installed on that server. And then if you look on the top right, the agent I'm about to install is the agent for Windows Server or Windows Client. Yeah, the agent is not that big, is easy enough for you to install, is basically just click on download, install, and then after doing the installation, the next step is you need to click on this download here to basically register. You need to download there to get the register key, because in order for the local backup agent, in order to get the data and send to your Azure Backup Vault, the backup, to the Vault space. Of course, it needs your subscription, needs usernames and passwords and things like that. And then the procedure is quite simple. Is basically 3 steps. Okay, step number 1 is to download the agent itself and do the installation. Step number 2 is to download basically the key to connect your agent to your subscription, and then eventually the final step is, of course, do the registration and then eventually start doing your backups. Okay, that will be for the Azure Backup agent. That's quite simple, and I will run a quick demo now in 2 seconds. If I go to my next slide, okay, if I select anything apart of file and folders and system state, okay, for example, I want to get a backup from my virtual machines or VMware or SQL Server database or Exchange, or maybe a full backup from my server image, what they call here as a bare metal recovery. And then, as you can see on the top right, now the agent has changed, or in this case they don't call agent anymore. Basically is I need to download the whole Microsoft Azure Backup server. Okay, and then it's a little bit bigger. I think it's 4 gigs and something is the kind of installation files. It's not too complicated. And then kind of the same story. Step number 1, you need to go there and download. Okay, step number 1 is to go and download the installation kind of software. Step number 2, you need to download the registration key and then eventually install that software, do the registration, and then eventually set up your backup. Yeah, that's it. Sometimes people get a little bit lost because they are looking, oh yeah, from where can I download the Azure Backup server? And from where can I download the Azure Backup agent? And then the answer is definitely from your Vault, but you will get the agent or the whole installation, okay, based on the outcome from what you are eventually selecting from this box. What do you want to do as a backup? And yeah, these are basically the two options in order for you to get backups from your local servers and folders and kind of database. And the third option, what Microsoft call as Azure Infrastructure as a Service virtual machine backups. And yeah, there you go. As you can see here on the left. Just sorry, 1 second. Yeah, as you can see here on the left, okay, my workload is Azure, but the source of my backups, I want to get my virtual machine Azure, sorry. Okay, and then of course, when I select the virtual machine here, I can see all the virtual machines available in order to get a backup. I will show you in 2 seconds. If you're looking to do a Azure virtual machine backup, there are 2 ways. Yeah, you can go to your site recovery vault, and exactly from this window you can see in front of you now. Or the other option is if you go to the virtual machine itself, just open up the properties. One of the options is backup, and then you can start and do the whole backup setup from the virtual machine itself instead to come to the site recovery vault. Okay, yeah, okay, guys, these are basically the 3 options. Okay, the light agent I will call, and then the big tool to do the more complex backup. And the third one is to use Azure to Azure backup. Okay, I will run a quick demo of all of them in a few seconds. But guys, I just want to share a bit of more kind of interesting thing here from Azure. Basically, if you think, oh yeah, it's too complicated, or maybe you are not looking to use the Azure agent, or you are not looking to install that heavy tool in order to get backup, and what you are looking to do is you have already hundreds or thousands of files, and you are looking basically to store those files in any cloud solution, any cloud provider. Okay, I think last year or maximum 2 years ago, Microsoft released, and now I'm talking about storage, okay, and then Microsoft basically released an option called cold storage. Okay, before it was only kind of hot, and then eventually I came up with a cold, cold storage. Sorry. And then initially when I started looking at that, eventually guys is a very nice, from the price point of view, I would say, is a very cheap option if you are looking for storage in the cloud to move some files. I can share a bit of real life experience on this case. I have basically 250 gigs of photos. And up to kind of last year, I used to have 2 hard disks at home, just to have a kind of nice backup. But I was always a bit worried, if somebody maybe broke in here and to take my stuff away, or if there is a fire or something, I couldn't kind of relax. And then I did a bit of price assessment, looking at different solutions. And then that was the time when I found this storage space. And to keep the story short, if Microsoft hasn't changed the price, you will pay something like 1 cent per gig. Okay, that's the price you pay for this cool storage, 1 cent per gig. In my case, since I've done the configuration and I uploaded 240 gigs, I think, at this stage of data, of photos, I never paid more than 3 euros a month. And then if you are wondering, okay, you need to go to your Azure, you need to set up that kind of storage space. And then the next question is, okay, now how can you upload your files to that Azure storage space? And then, I did a bit of research. And then the very easy and very nice tool is this guy here called Azure Storage Explorer. I will run, I could run a demo now. Very simple, it's free, just download, and then on the top left, the first time, of course, you need to do the registration, you need to kind of log on into your Azure subscription, and then you will see all of your storage spaces. And then basically from there, it's just matter for you to pick the storage, and then you can drag and drop files. You basically just go to your Windows File Explorer, select the files, drag and drop into the Azure storage space, and then wait for the upload. Let me run just a quick demo here. I should have it here. 1 second. Let me see. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, 1 second, guys. You should get a screen now. Hopefully. Okay. Sorry guys, if you're kind of new on Skype for Business, I think my photo is still kind of showing up on the bottom of the right-hand side. On the top right on your screen, there are 2 icons. Okay, one of them is to make as a full screen. Okay, if you want to do, and the other one is presentation mode. And then if you click on the top right, one of the buttons is the presentation mode. And then if you select presentation viewer, and then basically you can get a full screen without any picture from the participants, and my picture should be gone as well, just to have a bit of more space, okay, for you. Okay, anyway guys, as you can see now, I'm under the Microsoft Azure storage space. Very, very, very simple. The only thing I had to do is I went to the top corner here, and then I had to do my kind of name registration. I just literally logged into my 2 subscription, and then just when I click on apply, as you can see, I have a MSDN subscription with a couple of storage accounts, and then I have a Visual Studio Enterprise subscription as well, bunch of kind of storage account. And then what I created was exactly this guy here. Okay, the name is Storage J Felden Blob. This is eventually a cool storage space where I'm paying literally 1 cent per gig. And then I went under the blob container, and here I created a kind of folder called pictures backup. And then there you go. Here are all my kind of pictures since 1996. All here. And then just to show how easy things are, if you look here on the top, I can upload the files, I can download the files, I can basically copy files, I can move files between Azure storage accounts. Maybe, you know, if you have upload things, maybe you have loads of archived files into a hot storage, and then you are paying for something, you know, you don't need a great speed, you're just looking for a space. Yeah, you could basically set up a cool storage and then eventually move, you know, move things from there. Yeah, anyway, just to share, let's say a kind of a different view from cloud backup. And as I said, what I did, and I'm kind of 100% happy so far, is, yeah, go to your Azure subscription, create a new storage space. If you're looking for, let's say, a good price, go for a cold kind of type of storage, and then install Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer, and then start, you know, uploading your files, and kind of, you know, job done. Really kind of, you know, nice. And then you don't need agent. You basically don't need anything, you know, to be honest. It's just a kind of drag and dropping kind of work. Okay. Yeah, that just to share a bit of the, you know, storage explorer. Okay. Now the next thing, let's say you should get in a few seconds, hopefully. Oh yeah. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now basically, guys, with this introduction done, let me go through a couple of slides to show how you would do a backup if you're looking to backup files and folders to your Azure. Okay, I'm not going to read everything, and as I said, you will get this presentation, okay, at the end of my webinar. But in a high level, yeah, here are the steps. Basically, the first thing, as I already told you, you need to create the Azure Backup Vault, and then you need to download the credentials, you need to download the agent or the backup tool, and then do the installation, do the registration, and then eventually set up the the backup, okay, setting the target, okay, you want to do. Yeah, as quickly I already told you, these will be the steps. Okay, just click on backup, and then on the top, click on the file and folders. And yeah, after doing the registration and doing the agent installation, okay, that's the screen. Okay, 1 second, guys. Let me run just again a quick demo here. Hopefully, I need to connect my server 5. 1 second. Oops. Okay, here, share. Okay, yeah, you should get Microsoft Azure Backup in a few seconds. Okay, yeah, I think everybody got it. Okay, guys, basically after, okay, downloading and after installing that agent, this, by the way, as you can see, is a server, okay, is a server 2012. Okay, and then the first thing I had to do after launching the Azure Backup tool, on that right top corner, register server. Yeah, that's the place. Okay, if you have a proxy server, okay, and then you need to add the address and the credentials and things. In my case, I don't have. And yeah, there you go. This is basically the vault credentials. Okay, I had to download, and it's just a small file. Okay, whatever, you know, whatever the name, and you need to download that registration file from the Azure portal, and then here's the place for you to do the registration. I did it already. Okay, when the registration is done, it means now this agent has full connectivity to your Azure subscription, and then the next step is literally just go and schedule a backup. Okay, in my case, I did a backup already last night or yesterday at some stage, just to kind of make sure everything was working. Yeah, this is why basically if you're doing a backup, if you're launching the backup tool for the first time, and then you will see here the kind of the starting point. In my case, oh yeah, that's fair enough. I want to modify my backup configuration. Okay, that's fine. Now I just will hit next. And then I have done the configuration so far to backup a single folder called Azure Data. And then it's just matter for me to click on Add Items. And yeah, there you go. Guys, whatever the options I'm seeing here, they are available thanks to the agent, okay? I just did, or let's say yesterday or at some stage, I did the installation. And then if I'm looking to backup maybe the whole users folder, yeah, just select and then click OK. Now go to next. And then, yeah, here's the place now where I set, yeah, is a weekly backup, is a daily backup, is, I would say, oh, yeah, I want a kind of daily backup. And eventually, if things are getting too long, I could set a kind of the deadline by, I'm starting half 10 in the evening. Eventually, if it's not completed by 11, and then I want to abort, okay? And then, yeah, guys, this is what quickly I already explained before. Okay, the place where I want to say, oh yeah, is a daily backup, and I want to keep for basically 7 days. I want to do a weekly backup as well, every Sunday or Tuesday, and then I can pick, the time, and then the amount of backups I want to keep. I could, kind of make sense to have a single backup every Saturday and maybe, keep for 4 weeks, and then the monthly backups and so on. Yeah, anyway, and then just click next. Yeah, there you go. This basically, now I just will click finish. And yeah, now it's just matter to wait for the backup. And I think I didn't tell you before, but this agent, basically the way it works is it does a local backup first. Okay, and then when the local backup is done, and then it basically uploads those things to Azure. It's not a kind of online backup. And then it's quicker, at least the server now is released, all the backup is already done locally, and then now on the background, the server keeps uploading to the system. And yeah, that's it pretty much, guys. Very, very simple. Download the agent, install the agent, do the registration, and then set up the backup. Kind of not too complicated. Before you ask me, if you are looking, maybe you are a little bit worried, saying, oh yeah, maybe the the backup will kill my link when synchronizing things to Azure. Yeah, what you can do, if you click on that top corner or click on change properties, there are a couple of things here you can change, proxy configuration, but one of them here is the enable internet bandwidth. Okay, and then you could say, yeah, no problem at all, between 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and those days you want to allow whatever is the maximum, okay, amount of bandwidth you want to allow. Yeah, that's really nice to avoid, as I said, to avoid Azure or to avoid this agent to kind of, kill your link. Okay, now let me just quickly go back to my presentation. Okay, that was the kind of the first and very simple, I would say, way for you to back up files and folders. Okay, install the agent and basically take from there. Okay, now a little bit more complex. Okay, the next step is if you are looking to do a kind of big backups. I'm talking about a whole virtual machine from VMware, a whole virtual machine from HyperV, or maybe a couple of SQL Server databases or Exchange databases and so on. And then what you really need is the Microsoft Azure Backup Server. Okay, the Azure Backup Server is a kind of big install around, as I said, around 4 or 5 gigs. Kind of the same story. Do the installation. When the installation is done, do the registration, and then this is the interface. Okay, from here, the very first step, if you have used the System Center backup tool, and then I can say you are on top, okay, because it's pretty much the same. If you never use the System Center backup solution, then it's a bit kind of new. The first thing that basically you need to set up is the local storage where the backup will be saved first. Okay, as quickly as I said a few seconds ago, basically when we start a backup, first the backup is saved locally, and then when it's saved locally, and then basically on the background, the system will start synchronizing that backup to Azure. And then you might need to add a couple of disks on your local system in order to have a free space for that. Okay, when you have the free space locally installed, or of course, from the storage, or you could be using iSCSI or, whatever the solution. But when you have that space ready to receive data from the Azure Backup Server, now the next step is, of course, add the servers, okay, from where you want to get data. Okay, and then as you can see, basically here, if I click on, I will run a quick demo in 2 seconds. But when I click on that top left corner on add, I have 2 options now: to add a Windows server or to add basically a VMware server. And then if I click on Windows server, the next step is basically to provide the credentials, and if that server hasn't got yet the backup agent, in this case is the Microsoft Azure Backup server agent, the system will push the agent installation. And then after that, yeah, I will see here all the servers available. As you can see in this quick slide, at the moment I have a computer called Mentor 04 in ML11. Yeah, there you go. And then basically, as you can see, HyperV is there, local server, a SQL server is there. Yeah, brilliant. And then all the databases and file and folders in HyperV virtual machine, if that server eventually is an Exchange server, the Exchange database, yeah, you will be able to basically to select. And then it's just matter to click next. Basically, now the system will create what they call a protection group, okay, where let's say the selected source data will be saved locally. And then here's the place. I might want to do only a local backup, and then I would select the first option, want a short-term protection using a disk. And if I keep the second option, I want to, send to online as well, and then that's the time where it goes to Azure. And then, guys, I will run a quick demo in 2 seconds. But as you can see here, I have a couple of disks. And the way it works is for every backup group I'm creating, basically the backup tool creates a local partition or a local volume, okay, from there. And then eventually, very simple. If you are getting 10 different backups, okay, from Exchange, from SQL Server, different servers, yeah, let's say you have 10 different backups. And then you will end up having at least 10 different volumes on your disk. And by the way, when you are setting up that disk space, the disk must be empty and without any partition. That was my mistake years ago when I started. I added a second disk. I set up a kind of full partition, and then eventually when I wanted to perform my first backup, the message I was getting, oh yeah, there is no free space, no free space, no free space. And then eventually it was because I had a partition already there. Okay, the second could be interesting option, guys, is let's say you are taking now a massive backup, a couple of tera of backup. And then in order to synchronize, I don't know, maybe 100 tera, in order to synchronize from your on-prem to Azure, it's going to take definitely a couple of days. Part of the configuration here is to have an offline backup. And then offline backup means, in a kind of quick way to explain, you can basically have that backup in an external disk, and then you can ship that external disk to one of the Microsoft data center, and then Microsoft will basically import the backup from the, of course, is an encrypted disk into your Azure Vault backup space. Okay, yeah, that could be an option as well. Yeah, there you go. And then eventually, when the backup is all done, as quickly I showed you before, then you have the options, okay, to select from there. Let me see. Yeah, he's pretty much the same. Oh, no, sorry. Okay, guys, let me run a quick demo as well, just to show you. 1 sec. Let me get one of my server now. It must be server number 6 now. 1 second. Yeah, this guy here. Okay. Okay. Anyway, guys, as you can see now, I'm running the backup tool, okay, from the proper Windows Server backup. It means, that not the small agent, the full big tool. And yeah, just for testing, I already did a backup from my CNH data. Okay, I took that backup, everything's looking good, went locally installed and went to Azure as well. And if I want to add a new backup, just need to click on that top corner, click on new. In this case, guys, I'm talking about a new backup from my kind of, local server. Okay, if I select here on the top server and then click next, sorry, I need to say that again. This is from the registered server. Okay, initially, of course, the server from where I'm running the tool that is already out of the box, a registered server. And then I could, in this case, what I did as well, I already added a server called NH Azure, DC1 here as well. And now I could just kind of navigate. If there is any database on that server, I can select and make a database backup. Okay, if I'm looking for, just file and folders, and then I could select the file and folders. Yeah, guys, this particular server is not a Hyper-V host, but if it would be a Hyper-V host, yeah, here I could see, or I would see all the Hyper-V servers, and then it's just matter kind of, to select whatever you are looking for to do the backup and basically take from there. Yeah, that will be kind of, the step-by-step for you to run the backup, and then next, and eventually finish the backup. Okay, the other option is if you are looking to get a backup from a server you haven't registered yet, and then what you need to do is go to on the kind of left, on the bottom of the left-hand side, click on Management, okay, and then as you can see here, I have the NH Azure DC1 already registered. And then if I click on the top left, okay, on Add, yeah, there you go. Okay, this is the place for me to register new Microsoft servers. And then if I click there, okay, and then I can kind of, install the agent and then select, for example, here, of course, because I have a virtual machine, I have a server called AD Connect that is part of my domain, then this is why it already picked up that name, and then I would just kind of select the server and eventually install the agent. If you're looking to get backups from VMware, and then the option is, of course, select the VMware server, click on Next, and then here, of course, you need to provide the VMware IP address, what's the port, and then you need to provide the credentials as well. Of course, this backup tool basically needs to go and talk and basically get into your VMware running ESX or running kind of vCenter. And then basically, yeah, there you go. I don't have any VMware running at the moment, but after let's say that registration, and then I would see my VMware host or hosts, and then eventually from there I would be able to select the virtual machines running from that VMware. Okay, if you have different hosts and you have different credentials for the hosts, yeah, on the second button, Manage VMware, okay, here is the place where you go to add usernames and passwords and, basically the kind of different credentials you will use when connecting the VMware. Yeah, there you go. And guys, as I said quickly before, in my case, because I've done a backup already, if I show you my disk topology, I think I have here. Yeah, there you go. Okay, my disk topology. Yeah, this is what's happened. Okay, I added a disk, and there is this partition already created, or this volume already created, DPM, vol, something, and so on. It means every time when you add a new backup, basically that backup system comes to your local disk and creates a new volume. And then eventually, of course, when you delete the backup, it goes, when you delete that particular backup, and then the system comes to your local disk and remove that partition as well. That is done dynamically. Okay, that was, just let me connect back here, 1 second. Okay. Okay, yeah, that was a quick demo for the Windows Server backup. Okay, if you are looking to do a kind of more complex backup, as I said, folders, system state, Hyper-V virtual machines, even physical servers as well, you can get backup, or VMware virtual machines. Yeah, that's definitely is the place to install that backup tool, do the registration, push the agents, and then eventually start doing the installation. Okay, and then eventually, guys, the next step, not too complicated at all, is how can you have backups from file shares, okay, and virtual machines running from Azure. Okay, anyway, let me run a quick demo, and then it's easier for me to explain, and probably easier for you to understand as well. Okay, 1 second, I just need to get a new screen. Probably here. Oh yeah, here, 1 sec. Oops, actually not. Sorry, 1 second. Share window. Oh yeah, here. Okay, yeah, you should get my new shared window in a few seconds. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, great. Now, as I said, I want to do a share folder, Azure, let's say, file share backup. Okay, everything starts as quickly as I said. Okay, everything starts from the recovery service vault. Okay, go there, and then under the getting started, you need to go to backup. Okay, and now of course you need to set what's your kind of backup goal. In this case, it's going to be source is Azure, and then from Azure, I'm looking to get a file share backup. Get a backup from there. If you're not familiar, guys, basically a file share on Azure storage, as the name suggests, is a share folder. Okay, you can easily share files on that space, and then all the virtual machines on your Azure basically can just map a drive from that share space. It's kind of nice. Okay, under my subscription, I have those three storage. Let me select the first storage. And then under that first storage, I have here one of my file share called Western Europe file share reports. Okay, that's my source. Click OK. Okay, nice. Now, as quickly I told you before, the next step is to pick one of my policies, or otherwise I can set up a new policy, okay, whatever the time and whatever, the retention policy I want to have, just to make things quicker. Okay, I'm happy to basically start every night at 10:30 p.m. Every day, and to have that thing saved up to 30 days. Okay, great. Click OK. Okay, and then eventually just click on Enable Backup. And that's it. Okay, of course, later on I can go to the backup, and from there I can easily basically restore the information and check the status if the backup is completed or not. Okay, that's it. Very, very simple. The second option now is, I'm looking to do a full virtual machine backup. Yeah, same story. My source is Azure, and my target now is Azure Virtual Machines. Click on backup. And then now, of course, I need to select what's going to be my backup policy. Same story, I can select whatever I have or create a new one. And then finally, now, of course, all the virtual machines under under the same region where my backup vault has been configured, okay, will show up here. In my case, I have a ESX virtual machine 1. Okay, just select the virtual machine, and then eventually click on Enable Backup. And pretty much that's it. That virtual machine at the moment is off. Okay, it's not running. It should be fine. I might get an error because the VM is not running. But there you go. Now, when I have those things configured as quickly I showed you before, the next step for me is to go under the protected items. I want to check now the backup items. And then if I click there, there you go. And if I'm looking for kind of, Azure virtual machines, basically, of course, I need to go to Azure virtual machines. And then at the moment, yeah, as you can see, I already did a backup this morning. Okay, this morning I have scheduled for 4 a.m. this morning from the file server 2, and has passed success. Everything is looking good. And yeah, there you go. Here I have a bit of more information. Because, that's a daily backup. If I'm looking to restore the backup, I have 2 restore points, okay, from yesterday, 9:25 p.m., or basically from this morning, okay, 4:15 a.m. And then, guys, as you can see on the top, I have a couple of buttons, okay, restore VM, file, recovery, and so on. If I click on restore VM, now, of course, the first thing I need to do is to decide which of my kind of recovery points I want to select. And yeah, let's get the latest and then click OK. Okay, and then, guys, of course, now I'm looking to restore the virtual machine, and then I could restore only the disks and create a new virtual machine later, or restore the whole virtual machine. I just need to set up a name. Let's say excuse me, file server, let's call 3, and then what is the resource group? Of course, I need to decide now to where I want to deploy this virtual machine. Let's say I want to deploy to that place into the subnet 1, and I want to go to the, basically this is the storage space. And then click OK, and that's it pretty much. Okay, and then click OK again, and now it is deploying. Guys, very, very interesting is if I click on the file. Okay, let's say you have a virtual machine running up in Azure. You have been taking backups from that virtual machine, and now eventually you need, I don't know, 5 files from that virtual machine. You don't need to restore the whole virtual machine. You are only looking to have 5 files from that virtual machine. No problem. Basically, click on File Recovery. Very, very, very interesting. The way it works is basically when you click on this download, Microsoft now is prepping an exe file that will mount that VHD from Azure on your local system. Okay, what you will see is a kind of new disk, let's say drive H. Okay, a new disk drive H, and then you can, of course, it's a read-only disk, but then you can just go to your local file explorer, go to drive H, and then you can copy things out from that virtual machine. When you are happy and you manage to take off those 5 or 6 files you were looking for, as you can see down here, just click on unmount disk, and then it will disappear from your local system. Kind of the drive H will go. I might, let me do now, guys. Basically, of course, when you are about to mount that virtual machine, when you are about to mount that disk, you need to use the password, okay, for the script, and then this script. Basically, it's just matter to run the script, provide this password, and then, as I said, you will end up having a new disk called drive H, and then from there you can do pretty much whatever you want. Really, really nice. Okay, let me just go back here. Okay, let me just go back to my presentation. Okay, that's fine. Guys, that was pretty much kind of, the main. Now I have loads of screenshots here. And as I said, you will get all of these screenshots, okay, later. And then you can do a review. And if you want to do your own lab and do a bit of practice, it's pretty much just follow, what I've done here. Okay, here is the restore a VM. I already run a quick demo. Just going a little bit, quicker now. Okay, and then kind of the final thing. Before we go today, we might be kind of 5 minutes late. Sorry about that. Okay, the final thing is if you want to restore a virtual machine, you can in this case, I'm talking a local virtual machine. Okay, it's not too complicated. Basically, just go back to your Azure Backup server. Okay, pick the date from when you want to restore. Okay, and then as you can see here, of course, because I had that day, I did a backup from a single VM, in this case, the server 2012 R2, as you can see. Okay, just select whatever the VM you want to restore. Okay, and then click on recovery, and then you need to decide if you want to overwrite the VM or not. And then it's just matter to kind of, restore the VM locally on your server, and job done. It's, not too complicated. Just need to go to the local server and then basically take from there. Restoring files is pretty much the same story. Okay, select the server and then select whatever the individual files you want to restore. Select the date. Okay, and then, basically you need to decide if you want to restore everything or not, and so on. Kind of, very simple. Yeah, how to restore a virtual machine, I already showed to you guys. And I believe that's it pretty much. Yeah, anyway, of course, we could keep talking and making some more kind of, labs here, but 1 hour is kind of goes very, very fast. But that was pretty much what I wanted to share with you. Basically, not too complicated. Set up a new Azure account, set up a new site recovery vault, download the agents, download the registration files, and start, and then you can kind of straight away start taking backups to Azure. If you have virtual machines already working up and running on Azure, very simple, much simpler, I would say, to have backups, for example, from the virtual machines running on the data center here in Dublin to Amsterdam, or vice versa. Okay, yeah, we are kind of 2 or 3 minutes late. If you have any